So back to Sara Cunningham. So in 2017, I I heard about a woman who was going to, and I brought tissues because in case I cry on this event, who was going to Pride events and hugging LGBT people who were disowned by their families. And I just thought that was being a part of the community and knowing there's a very real feeling of being rejected by your own family because of who you are and who you love is pretty detrimental, to say the least, of words I could even find. And the fact a woman who would just go and stand in the streets of a Pride event and randomly hug people who needed a hug, I thought was just monumental. And then to find out she was the stand-in mom for LGBT couples who again said they wouldn't marry them. So Sara was right there, and was the stand-in mom, and so she called her and she was there for couples, and I followed her, as I said, since 2017. Here we are in 2022, and it's still an issue we deal with today. But her movement has, from 2017, has gone completely across the world. So we're very, very excited. So let me introduce to you real quick Sara. Have Sara come and join us. Hey, Sara. How are you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? I can't hear you. Hang
I
on.
know. That was a test.
Okay, cool. Well, it's good to see you. This
Good
has
to
been a
see you
long
too.
time
You
in the
look
works.
so handsome today, and everyone's done so well. I've got notes everywhere. I've learned so much already.
Oh, isn't it just amazing? I mean, I can't take my eyes off the conference. We're supposed to be involved, engaged in all this, which we are, but I'm so enthralled with watching every speaker and just absorbing everything they're
Yes.
saying. And I'm so excited to hear your message of what you have to say. It's good seeing you. But before we get started, I have something I want to share with you real quick, okay? So don't go away, Sara. Hang on.
Okay.
Hi there. My name is Jamie Lee Curtis. I am an actor, I'm a writer, and I'm a human. I'm a human who is really trying to pay attention to the world and my place in it and what I can do to make it better. And I was minding my own bad business, and a story came up, I think it was on my phone, talking about a woman who had put up a post saying, if you're a same-sex couple and you're getting married and your biological family doesn't support you, I will show up. I will stand in as your mom, and I'll even bring the bubbles, I think she said. And in that moment, I knew that my life had changed. I thought, that's exactly what should be happening, that we should be opening our hearts. And here was this woman who was a religious woman who was going against her church, saying, this is my family. These are people that I love and I'm close to. And the whole thing had started with her son when he announced he was gay, and her conflict with that based on her religion. And her act of complete acceptance and love just spoke to me, and obviously I reached out, and I have been trying to make a film of her story, and but I'm beyond just even that part of the story. What she's been able to do with Free Mom Hugs, this group of women and men who have dedicated their lives to inclusivity, to love, to the expansion of the idea of what does it mean to be in relationship with another person, and to bring in all kinds of love. And there's, no more important thing than love. It is the source of all life. It is the source of all life inside us, that feeling that makes us feel whole, that comes with love from another person. And I am thrilled that she's going to tell you now about how she began, what is happening now with Free Mom Hugs. And it is my intense pleasure. I wish I was there in person, but it is with great pride and respect and love, most of all, love, that I introduce you to my friend, Sara Cunningham.
OMG. Oh my gosh. We can just all go home now.
I know. So
Oh my gosh.
Sarah, I mean, I love you. I just think the world of you. And so I wanted
I
your
love
best
you
friend and I
too.
wanted one of your dear friends, Jamie, to introduce you. So without further ado, Sarah, thank you.
Thank you, Rick. What a wonderful surprise. And Jamie, what I love about her is that she is a strong and faithful ally, and she is always pointing to something good. She's always pointing to something good. And I'm not talking about just me or free mom hugs, but if you follow her on social media, she's always pointing and shouting out and just giving a platform for really wonderful things happening in the world around us. Um, that was a heck of an introduction. I'm very nervous. You should see my desk. I have papers everywhere. You organizers would just be appalled if you walked in my office right now. But what I do love is sharing our story. And those of you who may not be familiar with the Free Mom Hug story or the story about my family, the snippet is I met my husband young. We're married over 30 years now. We have two children together, and we have lived in the same home over 30 years. And we got plugged in early in our marriage to a church down the road. We could walk there from where we lived. And you voted there. That's where we went in severe weather. The basement served as a shelter, and it's inner city. We have every I want to say caliber of people. We had inner city people who practically built the church, and you get the idea. So, but we served there for 20 years. We went there, and I loved church life. I loved learning about our faith. We identify as Christians. I am a woman of faith. I'm going to share from my faith, from a mother's heart, and as an ally. So we raised our children in the church, and it's a Baptist church, and it's non-affirming. And the difference between affirming and non-affirming is this: affirming will celebrate the gay community. When I say gay, I mean respectfully the LGBTQIA two spirit plus community. And I love the acronym. I'll talk about that in a minute. But for short, I'll say the gay community respectfully. So we raised our children in the church, and we didn't have same-sex couples there. We didn't have um, gay weddings, and we absorbed this idea that homosexuality was wrong. And our youngest son, Parker, he spent his whole life trying to come out to me. He tried to have the conversation at the kitchen sink after dinner. Um, I remember when he was about 15 years old, he tried to have the conversation with me many times, but I didn't allow him the space or the vocabulary or the safety net to even have. We raised our children in the church, non-affirming and affirming. Affirming church means that an affirming church will honor same-sex marriage. They celebrate the spiritual gifts of the gay community. A non-affirming church does not honor same-sex marriage, and certainly not the gay community. And I live right in the heart of Oklahoma City, and there's 3 affirming churches that I know of in Oklahoma City. And but we belong to a non-affirming church. For 20 years we served there, and I loved the church life. I love participating in the faith, learning about the scriptures and this great and wonderful loving God. And so all through that time, Parker's trying to have the conversation, and I think it's a phase. I'm manipulating the conversation. I'm not allowing for it. I'm thinking, my God would not allow my son to be gay. And I thought I was okay with people being gay until it was my son. And finally, when Parker turned 21, he met someone, and he said, "Mom, I need you to be okay about this."
And I wasn't. I behaved badly. I did some things and I acted in ways and I said some things that I regret even today. And can you hear me okay? Frank, if you can hear me, just send me a text, okay? And I'll kind of watch. So if you can hear me, thank you very much, Jenna. So Parker turned 21. He came out. When he came out of his closet, I went into mine. And I had to re-examine everything that I believed. I didn't know where to look for faith-based resources that would help me better understand my son. And I thought I was the only mom in Oklahoma City with a gay kid. And I was petrified. I was frozen in this fear of my son burning in hell for eternity. And I was frozen in that fear and ignorance. And it took some time, but I started writing about it. And I wrote this book. It's titled How We Sleep at Night, A Mother's Memoir. And I was just writing, journaling. I never would have thought about writing a book, but it was therapeutic. And so I wrote about it. It's a self-published book. And about the same time that the book came out, I found a private online Facebook group for moms with gay kids. And at that time, there were 250 moms, and we all had the same story of not knowing how to support our children, but, you know, reconcile this faith that went against homosexuality and the fears that we have about hate crimes and all the anxieties that we have. We were able to pour it into that group rather than put it on our children. So there were about 250 moms. We all had the same story. And today there's over 30,000 moms in that group. And guess what? We all have the same story. So, but I found faith-based resources. I heard from people that shared my faith that it's okay to search this matter out. And when you do, you get educated on things like the history of human sexuality and science and evidence and things like gender identity and sexual orientation. Who knew there was such a thing? I was in my 40s before I really understood the significance of a little gay bar in New York City called the Stonewall Inn. It didn't mean anything prior to that because I didn't understand it. I didn't have skin in the game, but now I understand so much more because my son is a part of history and our future. So it took some time, but I became fully affirming, not only tolerating my son, not only accepting my son, but celebrating my son. It's a beautiful dynamic to our family. It took some time, but I found faith-based resources. I talked to other moms because guess what? Moms learn from other moms. And I saw other people accept my son when I didn't know if I really could or wanted to or knew how to in that way that he needed. But I saw other people celebrate my son. And I wanted to have an authentic relationship with him. And finally, he said to me one day, he goes, Mom, I want you in every area of my life, but how much of that is up to you? And that put me in check. Another time he said to me, Mom, I've been your son for 21 years. Now I need you to be my mom. Those things put me in check. And so I wrote the book, and then I started meeting Parker's friends and getting plugged into the community and hearing stories about how his friends were couch surfing or alienated from their church family. And finally, in 2014, Parker asked my husband and I to stand with him at the Pride Festival. So we did. We went to the Oklahoma City Pride Festival parade, and I didn't know what to expect. I write about it in my book. It's the last chapter of the book. And I just had a pivotal moment at the Pride Parade. Such love and outpouring of community there that I had never seen or felt prior to that in my life. I had an epiphany at that Pride Parade in 2014 with my son. And the next year, I made a homemade button and I pinned it to my sundress. And with anyone who made eye contact with me, I would say, can I offer you a free mom hug? And the first hug I gave went to a beautiful young woman who said that it had been 4 years since she got a hug from her mother. And I said, well, I'm a mom. Here's a hug and I'm not letting go until you do. That day I went home covered from head to toe with glitter. I also went home with real horror stories ringing in my ear. Conversion therapy is still legal, sought out, and paid for, not far from where I live. Conversion therapy, if you're not familiar with that, is a practice, therapy, or prayer that would try to change a gay person into a straight person. And it's dangerous, it's deadly, and it's still going on today in Oklahoma. So I was getting educated, and I learned that my straight son has more rights than my gay son. You see, Parker could be refused service in a public space because he's gay. Parker could be denied health care. He could be denied health care. There's a third thing, and it's just flew right out of my head. But he doesn't have the same rights as my straight son. So I got educated on laws that affect my son and families like ours. And I learned about gender identity, sexual orientation, the history of human sexuality. And I became accountable to what I was learning and hearing from the community. And I started just volunteering where I could, getting plugged in and pouring into the community. And I would like to say and touch base on something that was mentioned earlier about just highlighting the good, pointing to the good. There is something to that, because early in this advocacy, I was titled the accidental activist, because as I became aware of things, I was accountable to those things, see? And so when I became accountable, I tried to bridge the gap between the non-affirming church, because I'm a woman of faith and I believe in faith and God. And so I tried to bridge that gap between the gay community and the church leaders that I had formed relationships over 20 years of service. And I had a project that I called out together at the table, where I would try to invite them to dinner just to have a conversation. Guess what? I couldn't get anyone from the non-affirming church to the table. Nobody wanted to get there. So instead of pouring into trying to bridge that gap, I started to just pour all my energy and attention into the gay community, because that's where I was seeing fruit. And fruit is in the term of a spiritual word for providing substance. It's lasting, it's empowering, it's fruitful. And I could see, once we were able to pour love into the community and build through education, through visibility, through conversations, that was having much more better impact in bridging that gap, so to speak. Another time, a good story I like to tell is I was at the baseball game. We have a baseball arena here, and they had gay days at the baseball field. Well, some moms and dads and friends and allies, we got together and we had a free Mom Hugs banner, and we took it down to the baseball field, and we're just going to celebrate beautiful night at the baseball field. But not everybody got the memo that it was gay days at the baseball field. And I noticed this when I was standing there with the banner, and before me is a beautiful young group of people with their transgender flags on and their pride flags, and they're having a great time. And over in the corner of my eye, I see some people about my age, and they're got their face like they didn't get the memo that it was gay days, right? And I call them scoffers. They're scoffers. And right in that moment, I thought, I'm not here for them. I'm here for these beautiful children, for these beautiful kids. And we're going to have a wonderful night. Once that clicked in my mind, it was like that. The scoffers was wasted energy. I used to try to debate with them and have dialogue with them. And I'm still not opposed to that. If someone's willing to have a conversation, absolutely. That's the mission of Free Mom Hugs. But now we just pour into the community and their parents to have authentic relationships. And it's proven much more fruitful. And I like that. So a couple of years go by, and I start meeting these beautiful couples, and they're falling in love. And the first couple that back up just a minute. I was on vacation. We had gotten to our hotel room, and our oldest son, Travis, said, we called home to check in, and he goes, well, you got to go to Landry's, where they throw the rolls and stuff. And he goes, you got to go to Landry's. And we said, oh, okay. He was going to buy us dinner. And so we walked out of our hotel room to the elevator, and there's this couple, two elderly, older women, and they're beautiful. And my husband said, what's for dinner? And they go, we're going to Landry's. It's right down the road. And we said, we were just talking about that. Can we follow you there? And they go, just ride with us. We'll go. Never in my life would we have gotten in a car with strangers, or, I even thought of them like, you're just going to let complete strangers in your car. But we did. And we had a wonderful time at dinner. We became fast friends, and we stayed friends online. And when the Marriage Equality Act passed, they asked if I would officiate their wedding. And I'd never even thought about that. But they were my dear friends. And of course I wanted to, do as they wanted. So I got ordained and I officiated their wedding. They had been together 28 years before the Marriage Equality Act. And a reporter interviewed them because they lived in a little town in Natchez, Mississippi. They were the first gay couple to be married in the center of town, community center. And so a reporter asked them, well, why after 28 years would you, bother? You've already acquired so much. And my friend Denise said of her partner, Jill, says, I just want to make an honest woman out of her. I loved her attitude, but they had assets together. They had property, and, they're getting older in life. And at that time, if Jill had gone into the hospital for any reason, Denise wouldn't have been able to, help take care of her because they weren't legally married. So anyway, it ended well, and we're still friends today. So I became an advocate. And so that started couples asking me to officiate their weddings. And I was happy to do so. And I love every minute of it. I married beautiful couples, but through that time, I started hearing stories about how their family were not acknowledging the relationship, refusing to come to the wedding. And Uncle Bob wanted to sit out in the truck when they exchanged their vows. It was devastating to the couples. And I learned about a thing called internal homophobia. I never knew that was a thing. Internal homophobia. I have a dear friend who came out late in life, and she has internal homophobia. And it took some real nurturing and loving for her to accept herself when she found the love of her life. And so anyway, just the devastation on these beautiful couples. And one night, out of frustration, I made a social media post that my friend Jamie was talking about. This is my slideshow. And this post went viral, and I didn't even know what going viral meant. But that meant that what we did, I posted this late at night, and the next morning we heard from people all over the world saying, I'll stand in too. I want to stand in too. I'll be there. I'll bring the bubbles. And it's been a wonderful experience so far. And shortly thereafter, Jamie Lee Curtis did send me a private message asking me to call her. And I thought I was getting catfished, if you know what catfish means. But I said, I'll call you right after I pray I'm not getting catfished. So here's a picture of us when she came to visit me. Anyway, it's been a great experience. It's afforded me to share the Free Mom Hug story. And I love our mission statement. It's that free mom hugs. We empower the world to celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community through visibility, through education, and through conversation. And yes, we still give hugs. And we live by our mission statement. I believe in it. We understand the assignment. And even in the midst of COVID, we've risen to the challenge, and we have not wavered. We have not skipped a beat. We just had to get creative. And what I love about the acronym, I do want to share this. I have the utmost respect for the LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus acronym, because I'm learning in my advocacy that spectrum, that LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus community, I imagine in my mind like it's a radar range, like it's I'm having a loss for words today, but it's like on the spectrum. And as children are learning about themselves and on that journey of self-discovery, they can look at that acronym and say, that sounds like how I feel. And do you feel like a boy? Do you feel like a girl? Do you feel like both or neither one? And that's okay. And as far as orientation goes, it's like, who do you want to be with? You know, and once I understood those things, it's the essence of humanity and the dynamic that the gay community brings to the world around us. And last thing, and we might have time for some questions and answers, and I hope I haven't scattered around too much, but when I officiate weddings, I do find out what kind of family, how the family celebrates their love, and I learn a lot. But I always ask the couples the most probably beautiful thing that seems to be received well is I ask 4 questions. 1, how did you meet? 2, what did you first notice about each other? 3, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 25 years? And then what about that person completes you or makes you a better person? And that gives the opportunity for people who may not know how they met to see the humanity in them. And I also want to read a poem that I share at most funerals. If it's a same-sex wedding, I share from the Equality Act. I have it here somewhere. From Justice Kennedy, if you recall, when the Marriage Equality Act was passed, he says, no union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, 2 people become something greater than they once were. And you demonstrate and embody a love that goes beyond the grave. And I love that picture. And then a poem by Maya Angelou. And I love this too. It says, love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. And I woke up this morning looking for hope, and here you are. Here you are, good and faithful people. I'm so glad that Ric invited me to share the Free Mom Hug story here, because it's the story of every mom with a gay kid in America. And we want our kids to be celebrated. And I want to trust that when and if Parker finds the love of his life and he's looking for a venue or, whatever it is, how he chooses to celebrate that union, I hope he finds it and it's celebrated just like I would celebrate him. Anyway, I just want to make sure I said everything I wanted to say. Oh, the title of my talk today was One Person, One Act, and One Movement. We just had one little chapter here in Oklahoma City. It was me and another mom, and then another mom, and then a dad, and another ally. And we just started pouring into the community. And that button that I put on my sundress that day turned into, see, this is how organized I am, a logo that's recognized worldwide. And we have chapters in every state, chapter leaders with hearts just like mine, who are advocating. We're working with the Human Rights Campaign to change laws that affect our children, to end the practice of conversion therapy. And it's a logo that's recognized throughout the world. And do you see this little rainbow right here? It just sends a message that you're an ally or part of the community, or that you're just a safe person. And that's the essence of humanity, is sending a message. And when you can't use words, this is what makes it so important, the rainbow. anyway, I love y'all. And I wish we were in person. I'm so sad that we couldn't get in person, but next year maybe we'll be ready. But anyway, I love y'all. And if there's any questions or things, and I want you to know too that I'm not a professional speaker by any means. I was a secretary for an architectural firm. And so thanks for listening to my story.
Yeah, let's just hug her right now.
Big hug for Sarah.
Sarah,
Big hug for
virtual
Sarah.
hugs.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You know, I mean, oh, okay, no tears, no tears. All right. Sarah Cunningham, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, I can listen to her story over and over and over, and I think the best, not one of the best, but one of the heart is coming from her heart. You can tell it comes from her heart. It's real, it's authentic, and I just think that's one of the biggest benefits and just love of Sara Cunningham. I love her story. It encapsulates everything that an LGBT couple I think goes through as far as identity and rejection and acceptance and just that journey that so many of us are on and so or have been on before. Anyway, I can't say enough. She captivates me. I love her. I hope you absolutely enjoyed her as much as I did.
Point to the good. I wrote that down on my card when Sarah said that, because point to the good. Think about in our world how much we point to the negative and the bad stuff.
Yeah, true.
How sometimes we focus on it way too much. And here is somebody that literally has changed thousands of people's lives by just pointing to the good and seeing the love that she has for her son, and then therefore the whole community. I mean, I have lashes on, so I'm not going to cry, but
Well,
like, it makes you. It really touches you.
Well, I've had to dry my eyes 2 times already, if not a 3rd time already. So when she told the story of her the baseball story and the crowd over here.
Yeah.
Following Sarah on social media, which as I told you I have, I've seen those images, and I've often thought, how is Sarah doing this without getting in trouble or whatever? Because she
In Oklahoma.
Yeah, in Oklahoma. Yeah. And when I tell you she does this, please follow her. Free Mom Hug, Sara Cunningham. Follow her on social media. You'll see what she does, the outreach that she does, the engaging that she does. It's amazing. She does a wonderful Valentine's Day, which I have to give this a shout out because Valentine's Day is coming right up.
It's coming right up.
She does a Valentine's Day for the transgender community, for children, kids, and teens across the country in various states. She's done them, and they're amazing for Valentine's Day. It's a dance.
Oh,
She throws a dance.
because that's got to be a really scary experience.
Oh, well, going back to what Don was saying about, just being acceptance and the verbiage and just knowing, just here you are. I mean, here's an opportunity to exhibit your love and in an environment where you're not going to be questioned. You can walk in and you can dance.
Yeah.
It's a Valentine's Day dance. How many of us go to Valentine's Day dances? A lot of us used to do that as children, as kids.
Yeah.
And if you're transgender or gay or LGBT, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? I mean, it's just here's an opportunity. Sarah saw the need. Sarah saw the need without exception, and so she created this Valentine's Day dance. And so there's a story. You can go back and even look at the one she's done years past. They're just amazing. And I can go on forever till 5 o'clock about Sarah. I won't do that. But anyway, I do encourage you to follow her. She's got a great story. Parker, her son, is amazing. It's a real authentic story of an American family.
Yeah.
Is how I see it.
Middle America.
Yeah, Middle America, and a mom who took action and is making a difference worldwide, as you saw. And the rainbow thing she talked about,
Yeah.
I always say to vendors, it doesn't take a lot. As an LGBT person walking into a store or a business or looking at a website, it doesn't take a lot for us to. Are you inclusive? Are you accepting? And she's right. It's just a little rainbow. It's just a little sign. It's maybe something you're selling in your store or something on your website, but it doesn't take a lot to show your
Little sign makes a big difference.
Oh, speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
I want to go to a question that we had in the chat from another LGBTQ plus mother with children out there that has a question about how she can get involved. And Sarah even answered that in her presentation of you could start your own chapter of Free Mom Hugs in your area, get involved in your community. Do you have any other ideas that you want to share too?
Well, there's a lot of pride organizations within communities that have a lot of different events. There's a lot of LGBT centers that have a lot of events, LGBT chambers. Get on Google and LGBT chamber, anything in your area, and search it. They're out there. I always encourage to get involved, find out what's going on. How can you connect? It's not about just putting your name on a website or belonging to an organization. It's about becoming involved. And one of the things that I hear from the wedding vendors a lot, you may hear this too because you're well experienced, Holly, is the verbiage. They hear someone who's not used to hearing LGBT and transgender, non-binary, and they go, "Ah, this is all crazy. I can't. How will I understand it?" It's all about networking. It's all about connecting with others and using it. Don't just take the information and keep it up here. You got to talk about it. You got to share with it. You got to talk to your coworkers and and network with others. That's the only way you're going to get this out and feel comfortable with it is by speaking it. And I know that's intimidating. I know that's intimidating because even as a gay man, it's intimidating because it's an evolving world that we live in. So we want to make sure we get it right. We don't always get it right, but at least we're trying. I think all of us just needs to try.
Yeah. For the person that's watching today, this is the first step. I challenge you tomorrow, connect with some of the vendors, the speakers that you've seen and connected with today. Like, this is a relationship. It's ongoing. This is not just a one-day event.
The dialogue. We talked earlier about this is an open dialogue to get started. All of these speakers are ready for your questions, outreach, and that's what we're here for. So don't let this opportunity pass you by.
I love that. I love that. And if we have any more questions, people can add them into the Whova chat. We still are offering that special little $50 off for anyone that's here today.
We are, yeah.
Use our
As
code.
a matter of fact, we've had a couple people sign in. So
we have?
Yeah, we had, yeah. So
thank you. Use our code.
Let's keep that going, yeah.
NGWA 2022 to get $50 off your year membership. Start the conversation, start the relationship. It's a new year. Today's the day.
And remember, we are your allies. We're here to help train, educate, network, and get you connected.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so we have a trivia question.
We have some trivia. I'm calling it, our history.
Okay, how we doing? Okay. How we doing out there? You guys answering these, or are you having to look them up? I don't see anybody chatting here.
I don't want to see anyone cheating on Google.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Don't
right,
do that.
Right. Okay.
All right, let's pull up our next history. Our history question coming up now. It's so teeny tiny. Let's see.
There's those black dots in the way. What does it say? Oh, here we go.
There we go. My eyes. In 1993, which state legislator enacted the first state civil rights law to protect transgender individuals from discrimination? Was it A, California, my home state, B, Delaware, C, Minnesota, or D, New Mexico? Make sure to answer those questions right there in the Whova app.
There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. Great history lessons, great trivia, great everything. So.
It's just a great day so far. I don't know if you're feeling it.
I'm very emotional. I'm just, it's just so adrenaline rush of planning this and hearing the speakers and just having them all come out and deliver the message.
Yeah.
It's just, very great day.
It's awesome.
Yeah.